Hi, I'm David Davis from ActualTech Media. We're here at the headquarters of MariaDB. I'm excited to be joined by Mr. Franz Aman. He's the CMO at MariaDB. How you doing, Franz?
Doing really well after a day in New York, but glad to be back. Weather's great.
That's right. It's a beautiful day here in Silicon Valley. I've been learning a lot about MariaDB, and I know that those out there in the audience may or may not be familiar with MariaDB. So let's start off with like the high-level question. Who is MariaDB and what makes you different from the many different database options available today?
Yeah, there's a few out there now, aren't there? So, yeah, I mean, databases have just mushroomed. Over the last couple of years, you've seen so many startups going into the database space. And a lot of them are actually very niche focused. MariaDB is a general purpose relational database. Okay. So we're relational, we're transactional, we're doing analytics as well, and we're open source. Okay. Which is, from our perspective, the business model to use these days, right? Got to be open source.
Yeah, so many companies are adopting that business model, very successful companies.
Yeah.
So when people think of MariaDB, I mean, what makes it different specifically in the technical side from other databases?
Yeah, so we've had a focus from the beginning on being a great modern architecture, but being very traditional SQL. Right? So having full transactional capabilities. So you can run mission critical business on us. You never have to worry about that. And we also wanted to add a lot of new features and capabilities, be very modern, have a small footprint, be very modular. So be great to deploy in containers, be great to deploy in a cloud footprint. You know, not have like a big, heavy footprint and be very complicated to set up. You can install MariaDB in a couple of minutes and get going. So we're really a modern, versatile, very lightweight, fast database.
Okay, and what's the background? What's kind of the origin story of MariaDB?
Yeah, there's an interesting story there. So, one of our founders, Monty, he started out as founding the most popular database ever, MySQL. And MySQL, I think really everyone knows, right? It's become the most popular database, but then Oracle acquired it through the Sun acquisition, and things turned in a very different direction. And that was when the original engineering team, including Monty, felt this is no longer our home because this is not really free open source, this is not really living the lifestyle. And they pulled out, and then they started MariaDB, and MariaDB inherited a lot of the goodness of MySQL. Okay. So we're speaking the super popular SQL protocol that MySQL introduced, and we inherited a lot of the modular capabilities in architecture. At the same time, we're no longer a fork of MySQL. We've really taken things in a different route. We've innovated a ton on top of it, and we've actually taken MariaDB to the next level that MySQL is not going to take because Oracle has no interest in having open source competition in their own house, so they would never invest in analytics. They would never invest in security that's in the package at the base price and then competes with an expensive add-on that they're offering or their enterprise offering, right? So that would never happen. And we've gone there and we happily commoditize in open source what a lot of the incumbents have put in the market many years ago, and that's our big success.
Can you tell us about some of the customers who are using MariaDB today?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of big name customers like Home Depot and NASDAQ and ServiceNow who have built a lot of their customer-facing offering and their mission-critical applications on us. Someone like a ServiceNow, they're running up to 85,000 instances of MariaDB. Wow. So MariaDB is not a little toy database. It's absolutely enterprise grade. And ServiceNow has been a darling and incredibly successful in what they do. They've become the de facto player in how to automate work and process, and they've developed a huge cloud deployment. So in their model, MariaDB is very much cloud deployed. They deploy up to 12 instances per customer, and combined they're running up to 85 billion queries an hour on MariaDB. Wow. And heavily changing query patterns. So it's constantly new things. And for those who are in databases, everyone knows that tuning a database, getting databases to that level of performance is one thing, but when things constantly change, then having things keep pace and work, that's quite the feat. So super happy that they chose MariaDB, and I think a lot of their commercial success obviously was also enabled by an open source business model.
Yeah, that brings up a great point. You taught me a new term, actually. I mean, I've heard of cloud first, But what is open source first?
A lot of enterprise companies, they looked at open source and they've come to love it because it actually is very capable. It's not just free software that does basic simple things. Particularly MariaDB, I mean, we've had this focus on enterprise grade and mission critical and security. So you don't have to make trade-offs to go open source. But because of the business model, we can offer our software at substantially lower cost in a subscription model. So if you compare us to an Oracle, it's a 50 times price difference.
Wow.
Right? So they are 50 times more expensive. And for 50 times more expensive, boy, you can make some changes, right?
Absolutely.
A migration easily is included in that kind of savings.
Yeah.
And so customers have seen the tremendous financial benefit, the ability to take a lot of their run rate investment and put it against new applications, transforming their business, doing digital transformation or user-facing, customer-facing apps and developments. And how do you fund that today in an IT environment where you kind of have the same budget year over year and you have to figure it out? One big opportunity is you go open source first and you dramatically change the price footprint. And that's why a lot of companies have said, okay, we're going to go open source first. And unless there's a very, very good reason as to why we use proprietary software and pay a lot of money, we're going to go open source. And then, of course, we a lot of times talk about cloud first, but open source first, cloud first, I mean, that's just a matter of deployment model then.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely budget changing in most IT organizations, I would think.
Game changer.
Getting off of a very expensive database.
Absolute game changer, yeah.
So I was looking on the website, MariaDB.com. If I wanted to get started with MariaDB, I understand I can deploy it on a physical host, in a virtual machine, on my Mac, on my Windows desktop, and even up in the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of a modern architecture. A modern architecture means that it's more modular, it's lightweight, you can install it in just minutes, not days, weeks, and months of tuning.
You don't have to go to a big training class, get a certification. It's easy to use, easy to deploy.
You don't have to have 15 people standing by and working months and months to figure it out. And with it also comes ease of deployment for cloud. Yeah. Right, we have a lot of customers who deploy in EC2 on other cloud footprints, and that's a fabulous way of deploying it. Now, a lot of our customers, they also either embed MariaDB in their products or they deploy it in their own private clouds or on-premise. But the beautiful thing is that you have that choice, and we're a great fit for all the modern deployment options, microservices, cloud-based, container. I mean, try to fit some of the old databases into a container model. Good luck with that, right?
Right, yeah. Well, exciting stuff. Thank you so much for telling me about MariaDB. I want to try it myself, put it on my laptop, and take it for a spin. For more information, visit MariaDB.com.